Woof. I mean, between my current hangover state and that lost lead, I am not feeling great. This is the Not So Clean Hits post-game show, and that was something to behold, and we are going to break that down. This is Brad. We got Corey here. How you doing, Corey?
Not as good as it was after the second period.
Yeah. And my camera is being funky. It's feeling just as crappy as that game, so give me 1 second. Well, maybe it's all right. We'll push through any of these technical difficulties. I know you can probably still hear me, right?
Yep, we're all good there. Yeah, frustrating loss. Very similar to our other game against Anaheim this year, where I also think we had a lead in that, and then it just turned into sloppy mess, and we lost. And I think that was overtime for that first game in Anaheim. And then, I mean, not all bad in this one. We still get a point. We still get to keep the point streak alive. I don't think we've lost in regulation in quite a while now. Bank another point, get closer to the playoff spot. Now we're 1 point away from the playoffs instead of 2. But at the end of the day, still frustrating where for a very large portion of that game, they had the lead. They were up by 3 goals at one point, right? And this is against one of the worst teams in the league. So to let it fall away, it's just frustrating, right? And then some other frustrations as well with some of the decisions that maybe led to the outcome of that game as well.
Oh, yeah. We will get into it. We'll kind of let some people roll in here. And if you got anything to say about the game, don't forget to just pop it in the comments. We'll put it up on screen. We'll address anything you guys want to talk about too. Before we get into it too, real quickly, we are doing a sale on the Clean Hits Substack at cleanhitshockey.com. From now till January 1st, 50% off an annual subscription. So great deal. If you want to get caught up on all of our writing, if you've noticed, after a couple weeks, the articles do go into an archive state. So that's the way you can catch up on anything we've ever written. Got tons of new prospect articles coming your way soon. And then the mid-season report cards for the players that we are each assigned to will be coming out around that halfway mark, which will just be in January. So again, promo cleanhitshockey.com. That will get you a link to get you that 50% off the Substack. Clearly I'm still a loss for words. Fumbling here between the camera and we were talking a little bit before we went live here. When a team, they always say that a 3-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey, and time again, a team that is up by that much has given up that lead. I mean, Utah did it earlier against San Jose too. It's one of those situations where you probably are feeling great about that lead, and you kind of take your foot off the pedal a little bit and let teams kind of crawl back in, and it didn't feel like that. There's been times we've had 3-goal leads, or a team that I root for has had 3-goal leads, and you get that feeling in your stomach. You just see it coming. Even when it was 4-2, I felt pretty confident. I mean, they had plenty of power play time. They had plenty of high danger chances. The speed was there. There were some dumb penalties taken, but these teams clearly don't like each other. And one particular dumb penalty from Cooley kind of led to a big decision that, like you mentioned, may have altered the results of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You want to teach young players. I've always kind of disagreed with the fact that you got to teach everyone a 200-foot game. Like, not everyone has to be a Selke nominee. You're going to have guys that are more offensive, and that's fine. And that's what Logan Cooley's game is. And it's not like he's horrible defensively. Took a couple of, the glove on the puck penalty, which is a fairly new rule, and I can see wanting to bench him for a couple of shifts. You can't just bench him for one shift and then that's it, and the penalty's over. But to take him out for the remainder of the game, especially in the overtime period where he would thrive, I don't like that decision by Andre Tourné. And you're also just looking for some fairness across the board, right? Logan Cooley's been probably our best player in December, and he misses half the game because of a couple of penalties. And Lawson Crouse hasn't done anything in 2 months. We had 17,000 people in the stands tonight. Lawson Crouse should have been up there with them. He should have been benched long ago. He's providing nothing for this team, and Matthias Macelli isn't far behind.
And there was a point where Kraus kind of had a golden opportunity to take a nice shot, and he passed it. And
it was a horrible pass.
Didn't have the time and space to make a good pass. I don't even remember if he had the I think he tried to make kind of like a backhanded pass. I mean, it was all awkward, and you can just tell his confidence is shot.
And passing to Kevin Stenlund as well. And I know he had a little goal burst lately, but he's still the fourth line center. And as cold as Krause has been this year, he should take the shot in that scenario. He's the better player. Yeah, he's I don't think he's got a whole bunch of issues right now, confidence and everything else. But
agreed.
Just a lot of frustration on my part that Logan Cooley gets the discipline for what he did in this game, but then we have other players, essentially that whole third line that they're not necessarily a negative, but they're not really providing anything for the 15 minutes that they're on the ice.
Yeah. Big shout outs here from Hugo F. Hello from a fan from Portugal. I was actually in Porto and Lisbon last summer. Beautiful country, amazing cities. Sad for the loss, but I love watching this team, and I think we will bounce back tomorrow. Hugo, I would love to know how you became a Utah fan. If you were a Coyotes fan before, or kind of just went for a certain player. But yeah, tomorrow's going to be a big game. We'll have to see if the bounce back comes. Will be interesting to see if the lines get shuffled at all. Kind of to what you said, if Tournier will take this further and potentially demote Cooley down the line or down a power play unit, would be crazy. But you kind of have to wonder if how deep this may go. D&D Dexter, ship Murmis out of here. That was a head scratcher too.
I don't know.
Beautiful breakaway. I thought overall there were some elements to his game I really liked. He definitely had
all over the place.
Well, yes, I did too, and I'm sure there was some jitters there. But what a weird time to replace Kolyachonok, who's been
playing well,
fantastic lately. I mean, I hope it's that maybe he wasn't feeling tip-top shape. I know there's some clues going around. There's certain teams that have definitely been hit by the bug, but it didn't seem like Utah is one of those yet. But maybe that was something developing, and they wanted to let him recover and not risk it spreading a little bit.
So I think, at minimum for tomorrow, lineup changes. Vejmelka goes back in, and that's not anything to do with Jackson Stauber. It's just a back-to-back, so they'll make the change there. And frustrating as well to look like Jackson Stauber was looking at another win today. I know. Thought he was okay. The third goal was a little leaky, but I don't think we lost the game because of him by any stretch. So Vejmelka goes back in tomorrow. I'm hoping Murmis goes back out and that Kolyachonok can step back in. And then beyond that, I don't anticipate any other roster changes. I mean, it's been 25 bad games for Lawson Crouse. So what's the 26th, right? So,
very frustrating. Third gen Aggie, fine with benching Cooley for the rest of regulation, but it's not more important than the points in overtime. That's completely agree. I was kind of miffed that he was not out there at all.
It's built for him.
It was reminiscent of the final game of the Frozen Four a couple seasons ago when Cooley was in it and took a really dumb penalty near the end of the game, which led to University of Minnesota losing the Frozen Four. And obviously it was kind of a heat of the moment type of play. It kind of felt similar to the way he was playing in the third tonight. Just a little bit looser, a lot less disciplined. I mean, he was kind of shoving. Who was it earlier? I want to say it was a defenseman. He kind of got hit up against the boards, got right up and kind of pushed somebody around a little bit, but seemed like from there on he kind of got a little bit less disciplined and didn't get any more playing time.
So I wonder if tomorrow he'll be pretty fired up. I don't think the back-to-back will affect him as much because he is a younger player and they're young. They can do
and they have 3 days off soon.
Yes. And that's a big game tomorrow. We are now right neck and neck with Dallas in the standings. So big game tomorrow. Hope to see a big performance from him. And then, just in terms of tonight's game, again, get out of there with the points. So at least that's a positive. Clayton Keller had probably one of his better games of the year, getting the 4 points, I think it was. Nick Schmaltz, I thought, looked okay. Beyond that,
Sergachev, I thought, had some really, really great offensive moments. I felt like he was a little bit more frantic in his own end, but that whole play that led to Keller's second goal, that big, long cycle, was something else. That was a thing of beauty. I think that may have been one of the highlights of the game for sure.
I think the other forward too, Barrett Hayden, getting his first goal since October, an assist with it as well.
And Sally.
Yes, that too. Now we have a gift out of it.
Wow. I mean, we could probably do a whole episode on that. That was
rank the top 10 Sallies of the year.
Beauty. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that has to make the list.
Yeah. Dylan Gunther, a little quiet, only the one shot, no points, but not going to fault him. He's been one of our best players all year. He doesn't have to. I mean, it'd be nice if he scored a goal every game, but we're not going to expect that. And just looking at the box
and
score
he almost had an assist on what could have been the game-winning goal with that beautiful setup to Schmaltz. Had that nice, clean breakaway. It was a really good example of just how butter smooth his skating can be. He was just gliding across the ice, and unfortunately, Schmaltz couldn't finish that.
Dakota Murmis, 10:47 of ice time, 18 shifts, -2 penalty minutes. I don't think that's a very good season debut.
No.
So like we said earlier, unless it's Vladislav Kolyachonok's got the flu or something like that, I don't think it's an injury because they didn't report anything. Maybe they just wanted to give Dakota Murmis a look, especially before the break here. But based on that, I don't think he deserves a second look. And I'm not saying scratch him until the end of the season, but especially when Kolyachonok's playing well and the team's playing well, put him back in.
Yeah, and maybe it was partially the back-to-back too, just to have some fresh legs there. The interesting thing, though, would be putting the really fresh player in a game where you have your backup in net instead of kind of vice versa, and put him in the game with Vejmelka. Seemed like you kind of loaded everything in the idea that the Ducks are a weaker team.
So is this an opportunity? Maybe Andre Turner was waiting to. Don't really like to tinker with the lineup too much when the team's winning, but now they've come off an overtime loss here, and I mean the only options we have to insert into the lineup right now are Kolyachonok and Liam O'Brien. But and almost a little surprised Liam O'Brien didn't play today with how chippy Anaheim likes to play, and we were seeing that especially toward the end of that game. But I wonder if we maybe see any changes going into Dallas.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Or again, you have a 3-day break coming up. Do you just kind of roll with it for one more game, and then after that, shuffle things up? A comment from Hater Burner: how do we fix Lawson Krause?
Buy him some nice property in Buffalo, New York. They need guys who not even necessarily want to play in Buffalo, but don't want to leave Buffalo. They're looking to shake things up. They got some interesting pieces there. I know we've chatted about a whole lot in our Discord. And I don't really know why Lawson Krause isn't playing very well this year. And I think not only is he our worst forward, but he's the worst skater on the whole team this year. And that's especially disappointing when historically he's been a 20-goal, 20-assist guy, 200 hits, a real unicorn type of player, like a Tom Wilson light, a Brady Tkachuk light, and we're not seeing anywhere close to that this year. We're not seeing the hits, the physicality. We're not seeing, shots hitting posts, anything like that, where it's not even like we saw it with Nick Schmaltz.
Not like he's snake bitten.
Exactly. We saw that with Nick Schmaltz, where he was getting opportunities. He was getting goals that were getting called back for goalie interference and things like that. But you're not even seeing looks right now where you're thinking, okay, Lawson Krause, he's getting close. He's going to get a goal here in the next game or two, but even that's not happening.
Yeah, and I feel like his penalty kill minutes have been down as well. So one of his most effective areas is not something that we're seeing as much time with him on anymore. He's always had such a great active stick on the penalty kill, and he's always been a huge part of that. But penalty kill has been phenomenal, and I don't believe he's on the top unit. Looking at his minutes, over the last 10 games, he's averaging 13.5 minutes. He had 15.5 against Minnesota, which I did think that line played a nice heavy game. I thought that was a nice little bounce back game. I was really hoping that they could convert tonight. But before that, he had 12.6, 11.9, 11.5, and 12.1. So that's kind of his last 5. So, I don't know. And I mean, clearly there's no reason to give him more minutes right now. Luckily, we are getting a lot of offensive prowess from 3 lines. The 4th line has been great. Again, I think I mentioned it on the last podcast. Every single player on that line has 5+ points in the last 10 games. So that's been some nice depth scoring. And I think if Krause, who has always been a streaky player, if he can turn it around when maybe one of the top 2 lines starts to slow down, that would be really beneficial. And I think maybe not all will be forgiven, but at least a little bit if he can kind of help pull the team forward when inevitably some of the top 6 forwards slow down a little bit again.
Yeah. So here's a list for you. Alex Kerfoot, Michael Carcone, Matthias Michelli, Kevin Stenlund, which we'll put an asterisk beside that one. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Those guys, those forwards all got shifts in overtime over Logan Cooley. Now, Kevin Stenlund does have to win the face-off, and get off the ice. Yes. But Matthias Michelli, who's been incredibly snake-bitten. Michael Carcone, who has come on in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks or so, but still he's not a top 6 guy at the NHL level. Alex Kerfoot is a very good bottom 6 forward, but to think you're only putting 2 forwards out there in the overtime, and one's going to be Alex Kerfoot, who he's not going out there to win draws. You're putting him out there to get a goal. You have Logan Cooley sitting on the bench. I get him. I get benching him for the 3rd or a portion of the 3rd to teach him a lesson. But the 3rd, it's not even hockey. It's 3-on-3. You're trying to get that bonus point. And I think Andre Tourné cost us a point in this game. I don't think Logan Cooley did. I think maybe at a point he did, but I think Andre Tourné did after that.
Yep. Yeah. You could say maybe Cooley lost the lead and Tourné lost the point. Speaking of how 3-on-3 isn't quite hockey, it was clear that the Ducks were just trying to get to the shootout too. I mean,
that with like 40 seconds when they're in the zone and they had a shooting lane and they take it right back out of the zone because they don't want to lose possession. But.
And I get it too, because, you got a fresh goalie out there. That's has to be his first. Maybe it's not his first shootout.
I get it. Trying to, maybe they like their odds better winning in a shootout than overtime, but and I'm a fan of 3-on-3. It's not quite what it was when it first was introduced, because the coaches have really figured it out where they're cycling and they're taking the puck out of the zone. And remember, this first started, there were shots all over the place, and now they're just it's like a power play where they're looking for the one perfect shot. But the fact that the Ducks were in the zone and then left without even taking a shot there and just killing the clock. I don't know. I know some people have kind of floated the idea of if it's like that and you leave the zone, it's a penalty. So I don't really know if I want to get it more complicated than that, but you want to try and keep it as close to hockey as you can.
And you do a offensive zone start.
Yeah, I could see that.
Stop, blow the whistle, and then the face-off goes
back in the Anaheim zone.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. We're obviously not going to be making any of the rule changes here. So,
changing anything first, we're figuring out this offside and goalie interference mess.
Yes,
I get the purpose of both rules, but it's just so convoluted. And there's a very sick part of me that wants Alex Ovechkin's Wayne Gretzky goal to either be offside or goalie interference, and then the NHL have to deal with that.
No.
It's kind of like the Brett Hull foot in the crease goal from '99, right? Where they just kind of ignored it. And then the rule went away the next year, right? So maybe we need something like that to happen to those two rules.
Yeah,
especially offside. It's just such a mess.
I know. Well, yeah, man, what could have been tonight too. But yeah, little history was made. So first 4-point night by a Utah Hockey Club player. You gotta wonder if Keller had some extra motivation. He's been a duck hunter before, but you gotta wonder if he had a little extra motivation after he lost the point lead on the team.
That too, and also I tweeted it out a couple of days ago. I got to find it here. I would have to update it now too. But he had, where is he? Clayton Keller. This was as of December 19th. He had 8 points in the 6 games since being left off USA's Four Nations roster. So let me see what he would be at now. So I have to wonder if there's maybe some regret on USA's part on not including him on that roster. So one more game since then. So he is up to 12 points in 7 games since then. Now, obviously, that's an absurd pace over a full year. That would be, 12 points in 7 games. It's almost 2 points a game, right? So over a full year, it's like 140 points. He's not going to get that. But, I think a 90-point season for him at some point isn't a stretch. But yeah, frustrating to not get the full 2 points when your captain has a 4-point game. Your goalie looks pretty good.
And they didn't seem like they were slowing down and turtling either.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. I mean, again, the point streak has been great. Definitely going to make things exciting. Next couple games. So we got Dallas tomorrow, a struggling Dallas team, and the loss of Tyler Seguin has definitely affected them because that top line has not been producing anywhere near the clip that they used to. Wyatt Johnston, who was absolutely phenomenal last season, seems to be slowing down a little bit now too, but you never know. This is an extremely dangerous team. So that would be a huge win to go into break, because right after that, we got 4 more Western Conference teams with the Avs, Seattle, Edmonton, and Calgary. 3 of which I would say are teams that potentially could take a wild card spot or potentially fall out. I think obviously Colorado has the best shot of maintaining a playoff position, but we know Seattle and Calgary are kind of nipping at that wild card spot, and that will probably be a bloodbath all the way down to the end of the season. So very important games coming up. It'd be nice to kind of get tonight right by a big win against Dallas tomorrow. Take a nice break.
We haven't lost since the last time we played Dallas. Lost in regulation, at least. They are lost 8 games, 6-0-2. So, I mean, from that perspective, as frustrating it is to throw away a point tonight, the fact that they've got 14 points out of the last, whatever that would be. What's that? 8 games, so 16. 14 out of 16 points. If you do that the rest of the year, we're gonna win the division.
Yes. Yeah, and it definitely feels like things are really kind of getting in sync with the team. We kind of were talking about it in the Discord a little bit of how it was pretty clear it took some adjustment period for the defense, with especially so many of them being new to the team and new to Tournier systems. But you can tell that they're in sync. They're able to kind of speak and continue plays together. They're able to help read breakdowns a little bit quicker. And it's going to be exciting to see them continue to grow, and then potentially adding kind of those trade deadline pieces of Jersey and potentially Marino back in. And hopefully that gives them an extra boost too. But
yeah, it's huge. It's like adding a second pairing, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, it almost is like a trade deadline ad where Marino hasn't played at all, but Doherty's only played 3 games in a portion of that Devils game where he was injured, but Maverick Lamoureux in that side as well. So you're adding the whole right side of the defense. We'll figure out what to do with Michael Kessering when that time arrives. So someone's going to move over to the left side, or there could be other injuries by that time as well. But
True.
Huge.
Yeah. So a little bit on the bright side here, Dallas coming into the game tomorrow, coming into Utah. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 in a row, and they are much better at home with a 13-5 record than on the road, which they are 6-8. So again, maybe that is maybe the little loss here and dropping the lead is going to be that extra motivation to really push tomorrow, really empty the tank before break. And I would say getting 2 points against Dallas would be a lot more important than getting 2 points against Anaheim.
Yeah, like if you look at those two games paired together, if you went into it thinking if we can get 3 points out of those two games, that would be huge. Like even if we had won today and then lost tomorrow and still got the 2 points, I would have been fine with that. But I think normally you would think, okay, they'll beat Anaheim and maybe they can get a point against Dallas, and that's your 3 points. But if they do it backwards here and get the point today and then 2 tomorrow, that's huge. Especially for a team in our division, right with us in the mix. Standings wise, Dallas is right ahead of us, I believe.
Yeah.
Both have 38 points. We played one more game. But we beat them tomorrow, and I don't know who else plays before then, but we beat them tomorrow. We would jump ahead of Dallas and Calgary and Vancouver. I don't know if Calgary and Vancouver play tomorrow or tonight.
No, Colorado's playing right now against Seattle. There are, I think, 13 games tomorrow, so there's a good chance those teams are playing as well.
Vancouver plays San Jose tomorrow.
Sharks. Yeah. Minnesota plays Chicago.
Vancouver is a bit of a mess right now.
Yes.
They're dealing with this whole Elias Pettersson, JT Miller. It's not really a wedge issue thing, but it keeps coming up. They're saying it's not really happening. Rick Tocchet has pointed to it. Their captain, Quinn Hughes, has pointed to it. Hopefully it continues to be an issue and a distraction for them, and they fall right out of a playoff spot, and Utah can move right into a playoff spot.
Yeah, that's not something I was expecting at the beginning of the year. I think I was saying they'd be fighting with Winnipeg and Minnesota and the Kings.
And I mean, you got to be frustrated if you're a Canucks fan to have stayed in the mix without your star goalie. Vezina finalist last year, and then get him back, and now you're dealing with this. I don't think
3 and 4
tomorrow. So is Calgary done until the break? I
guess so.
Yeah, Calgary doesn't play until Saturday. So who's also San Jose. So go Sharks for 2 games. As much as they don't like
Sharks
us.
fans.
Yeah. I wonder if I don't think that's Calgary's bye week, but that's a little unusual where they get a whole week off. I know there's the 3-day holiday break in the middle of that, but I kind of thought coming back on the 27th, I thought maybe every single team would play to make up for the 3 days lost time. But that means no Calgary tomorrow. If we beat Dallas, and if Vancouver gets a point tomorrow, we can't pass them even if we win. But if we get 1 point tomorrow, we move into a playoff spot because we would take over Calgary's spot. We'd have the same number of points and same number of regulation wins. And then, what's it? I guess goal differential, or is a tiebreaker after that? It might be season series, but either way, we would move into a playoff spot at the holiday break, which is huge. Nice. When you look at, we were talking 2 weeks ago, and our goal differential was -6, and now it's +4. So to have moved 10 in not even 2 weeks is huge. And when we were behind Seattle and behind St. Louis, I think we were even behind Anaheim and very close to San Jose at one point, right? Where this is the only way to climb the standings. You just have to bank points. You never like to lose, but to at least get 1 point out of the games you do lose, it helps you keep pace with the teams around you, and you can start making some ground up in the standings.
Yep. Yeah. So really important games coming up. I will be definitely looking at some Cooley props tomorrow. I think he's going to come out pissed. Otherwise, maybe this is that little bit of fire that the team needs to really make a push in these next couple of games. Not getting too comfortable with the winning streak that they were on and the kind of point streak they have going. They can see how quickly they can drop a game. This is not the first time this has even happened this season. So clearly this should be a learning lesson for the team. Hopefully one that doesn't happen again, unlike last time when this happened against the Sharks. But yeah, anything else that you want to talk about from the game? I think we covered quite a bit of it. Got to figure out, we got to get Krause's groove back somehow. We need to send him a copy of how Stella got her groove back and see if there's some learning lessons in there for him or something. But
yeah, I did see Andre Tourney's quotes post game where they were asking him if you need to shake up that line, because it's not only Krause, right? It's Michelli, who's not too far behind Krause in terms of just how disappointing he's been this year. But Nick Bukestad hasn't been too great either. And I know he missed a little bit of time with injury, but
yeah, he looks like he's lost a little bit of a step too, unfortunately. But
yeah, but you can't really tinker with that line, because if you do, that means you got to take someone from one of the other lines, which they're all playing really well right now. I like the Keller line, I like the Cooley line when he's playing, and I like the Kevin Stenlund line as well.
Yep. So, and I guess, if three of your four lines are rolling, it's not the end of the world to have one slumping, but it's just perplexing that it's gone this long now.
I mean, I'm still not opposed to just, it can be a one-game scratch. Bukestad would play because he's the center, but pick one of the other two and put Liam O'Brien in for a game. I'm not scoring anyways, so
move Carcone up. He has probably the best scoring toucher. Kerfoot has played on the third line at points this season, even.
If you're gonna tinker with the fourth line, right? Which is pretty good fourth line. So and I am curious to see how Liam O'Brien plays when he's only played 3 games this year, right? He played the home opener. I think he played the game after that, and then I think he was scratched, and then he came back for 1. I think that was the order. So he hasn't played in like 30 games. Very curious to see how he plays. It's going to be like a unleashed caged animal who shows he doesn't want to be scratched for another 30 games. So I would be very curious to see what he would do with an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd at least get the physical edge. So
yeah, and Dallas is a physical team, so that would be kind of a perfect opportunity to maybe make a statement for somebody on the third line. Hopefully it's not Cooley who gets scratched, but we will see.
Oh God.
I think it'll be very telling of some of Tournier's attributes if Cooley is scratched or moved down the line. Again, I'm not saying that I think that's likely, but you never know. But yeah, anything else?
Go Utah, keep the point streak alive in Dallas. We do that, and we move into a playoff spot, and I think that's huge to move into a playoff spot at the break. If you look back to last year, I don't know if they were at the break at Christmas, but they weren't at the All-Star break. They were just outside of it for being in the playoffs for most of the year, and then everything when the relocation stuff really started to take off, it all fell apart. But this is kind of one of the checkpoints of the year. We talked a lot about the American Thanksgiving. This is kind of the next one. Then you get to the All-Star break or Four Nations. Then you get to the trade deadline. Then you get to the end of the season. So if you can be in a playoff spot at those times of the year, that's just a good checkpoint. It's the team could feel good about itself. So I think it's huge. Just obviously hoping for a win in Dallas, but if they can get even that 1 point, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, we will be tuning in, and if you want to get in on the action, you can join our Discord. That is at discord.cleanhitshockey.com. We got shorter links now, so I don't have to make this whole spiel about finding the link in our Twitter page anymore. So thank you, Corey, for that. Come join the Discord. It's a bunch of fun. We got tons of fans in there, tons of activity. So if you want to talk to other Utah hockey fans, jump in there. You'll see us around as well. And we post all of our articles from cleanhitshockey.com there and all of our podcast episodes. So you can find pretty much all of our content. So if you got some reading catch up to do during the holiday break, podcast listening catch up to do, great place to find all of that. I think that's about it. I think we are going to have to just flush that one down, be happy with the point, and move on.
Yeah. Burn the tape, as John Tortorella says.
Yep. All right. Well, this was the Clean Hits Hockey Podcast. This was the Not So Clean Hits post-game show. And, man, we are cursed with these. I think we have had one win so far when we go live after a game. Hopefully our fortunes turn around, too, because there's a lot of size on these shows. But Otherwise, have a fantastic day, everybody. Have an even better holiday break. Enjoy your friends and family. Give them all a big hug. And we will catch you soon. Adios, everybody.